Hare Krishna. We continue reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 6, Dhyan Yoga. We are on text 47. This is the last verse of this chapter 6. Yoginam api sarvesham madgatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo mataha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And of all yogis, the one with great faith, who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself, and renders transcendental loving service to me, is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. So Krishna has been telling to Arjuna about yoga and about yogis. Now he's telling him, in my opinion, who is the highest yogi. He's saying the highest yogi, Krishna, sorry. So he's saying that the highest yogi is the one who has great faith, who's always thinking of Krishna, who's always abiding with Krishna, who's engaging in loving service to me. So he's saying that who's always thinking of me with faith, with love, he's engaging in devotional service to me. This is the highest yogi. Krishna is saying it himself. So he's openly declaring that the bhakti yogi is the highest yogi, because the bhakti yogi is always thinking of Krishna. He's always rendering loving service to Krishna, renders transcendental loving service to me. He has great faith in me, who always thinks of me within himself. So Krishna is not saying to something inside me or something beyond me. No, he's saying who thinks of me. He's not saying who thinks of something beyond me or who thinks something inside me. So this is what Krishna is saying. The word bhajate is significant here. Bhajate has its root in the word bhaj, which is used when there is need of service. Bhajate. Bhajate is coming from the word bhaj. The English word worship cannot be used in the same sense as bhaja. Worship means to adore or to show respect and honor to the worthy one. But service with love and faith is especially meant for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So the word bhaja means serving God with love and faith. Whereas worship is to show honor or respect to someone who's worthy of being respected or of being honored. So one can avoid worshipping a respectable man or a demigod and may be called discourteous. But one cannot avoid serving the Supreme Lord without being thoroughly condemned. So bhaja, each and every living entity is meant to engage in the service of the Lord. Each of us is meant to engage in bhakti. We may not worship an important person or a demigod. We may not worship, or we can avoid respecting or worshipping a man or a demigod, and we may be called discourteous. But if we are not engaging in devotional service to the Lord, then we are condemned. We are condemned because we are not doing our duty for what we are supposed to be doing. What is our position? Our position is that every living entity is part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and thus every living entity is intended to serve the Supreme Lord by his own constitution. So we are thinking, I'm a man or a woman, I'm this nationality, I'm this community, I belong to this family, I have this and I have that. But that's not our real position. That's not who we truly are. Who are we truly? We are, each and every one of us is a part and parcel of God. And each and every living entity has an intimate, loving relationship with God. Each of us has a particular service to God. Failing to do this, he falls down. Because we have forgotten this, we are not engaging in our service to God. That's why we are here in the material world. The Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 5, Text 3 confirms this as follows. Ya esham purusham sakshat atma prabhavam ishwaram na bhajanti avajananti sthanat brashta patanti adaha. Anyone who does not render service and neglects his duty unto the primeval Lord, who is the source of all living entities, will certainly fall down from his constitutional position. So Bhagavatam is saying that the duty, our duty is to serve God. And so anyone who is not doing this is gonna come to this material world, cannot be on the liberated platform. Anyone who's not engaging in service to God, in neglecting his duty towards God, then that living entity is certainly going to come into illusion, fall down from his constitutional position. Because the original position of every living entity is that we are all eternal servitors of God. Krishna, he spoke the Bhagavad Gita, and he, at the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, he tells Arjuna that you surrender unto me, and I will take care of you. I will take away your sinful reactions, and I will protect you. Do not fear. So after speaking the Bhagavad Gita, he gives this conclusion that you give up, abandon all other dharma, and you just surrender unto me. Lord Chaitanya begins from this point of surrender, that Jivera Swarupaya Krishna Nitya Das, that the constitutional position of every living entity is that we are eternal, part and parcel of Krishna. We are eternal servant of Krishna. Jivera Swarupaya Krishna Nitya Das. Each and every living entity is an eternal servant of Krishna. So then, in this verse also, the word bhajanti is used. Therefore, bhajanti is applicable to the Supreme Lord only, whereas the word worship can be applied to demigods or to any other common living entity. So Krishna is saying bhajanti. Bhajanti can be only for God, can be only for Krishna, not to any living entity. So it's different than worship. It's different than worship. Bhajanti means serving with love and faith. It's coming from a platform of love. That's why the word bhajanti is there, and it's only for God. The word avajananti used in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is also found in the Bhagavad Gita. Avajananti mam mudaha. Only the fools and rascals deride the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna. So when we deride Krishna, we are a fool and rascal. That's what Bhagavad Gita is saying. Krishna is saying, avajananti mam muda. He's saying that when I come in the human form, the foolish don't recognize me and they think that I am a human being. He says that openly. Such fools take it upon themselves to write commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita without an attitude of service to the Lord. Consequently, they cannot properly distinguish between the word bhajanti and the word worship. So if we don't understand Krishna and we take up the work of translating Bhagavad Gita, we are going to be very far off because we ourselves are misunderstood. We ourselves have misunderstood the Bhagavad Gita. How is it that we can explain it to others? If my understanding is wrong, how can I explain the correct thing to anyone else? And Krishna is saying that those who don't recognize me, they are fools and rascals. Those who think I'm an ordinary living being, then they are fools and rascals. Avajananti mam muda. So then, the culmination of all kinds of yoga practices lies in bhakti yoga. All other yogas are but means to come to the point of bhakti in bhakti yoga. So we may be following the path of Ashtanga Yoga, or we may be following the path of Gyan Yoga, but to get perfection in our Gyan or in our Ashtanga Yoga, we have to come to the point of Bhakti. It's only when we come to the point of Bhakti can we get perfection, not otherwise. Yoga actually means Bhakti Yoga. All other yogas are progressions toward the destination of Bhakti Yoga. So yoga actually means Bhakti Yoga, whereas Gyan Yoga is supposed to bring one to the point of Bhakti Yoga. Dhyan Yoga is supposed to bring one to the point of Bhakti Yoga. They are the preliminary steps of the ladder. Gyan Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, like that. So Gyan and Dhyan are steps leading towards Bhakti. From the beginning of Karma Yoga to the end of Bhakti Yoga is a long way to self-realization. Karma Yoga without fruitive results is the beginning of this path. So we can begin. So what happens is someone may not directly take to Bhakti Yoga, and someone may take up the yoga ladder. So the yoga ladder, someone may begin from Karma Yoga. Karma, we are all doing karma, each and every one of us. But when one understands that, okay, I don't want to enjoy the result of my work. I want to give the result of my work to, I want to be detached from the result of my work. I don't want it. Then what happens is one gets knowledge. One comes to the point of Gyan Yoga, because he's understanding a little bit that because he's not attached to his result, so he gets some kind of renunciation, detachment, and also knowledge. Then he understands, oh, I'm not the body, I am the spirit soul. And so then he comes to Gyan Yoga. Now, when Gyan Yoga, he's increasing in meditation, he's contemplating on the super soul, he's understanding, okay, I'm the soul, but there is a super soul, and he's doing this by different asanas, and the mind is on the super soul. That is called Ashtanga Yoga. And when one surpasses the Ashtanga Yoga and comes to the point of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, it is called Bhakti Yoga, the culmination. So after Ashtanga Yoga, one realizes, oh, there is, I am the soul and there is a super soul. So then I'm supposed to engage in the service of the super soul. That is Bhakti. When the soul engages in service of the super soul, that is Bhakti Yoga. So factually, Bhakti Yoga is the ultimate goal. But to analyze Bhakti Yoga minutely, one has to understand these other yogas. So Krishna, he wants to tell Arjuna, you do Bhakti Yoga. But just so that Arjuna can understand how Bhakti Yoga is the highest, he's telling him about Gyan Yoga, he's telling him about Dhyan Yoga, Karma Yoga, everything. The yogi who is progressive is therefore on the true path of eternal good fortune. One who sticks to a particular point and does not make further progress is called by that particular name. Karma Yogi, Gyan Yogi, or Dhyan Yogi, Raj Yogi, Hatha Yogi, etc. So yoga is supposed to be a progressive path to to constantly improve. But if we stick to karma yoga, then we will be called a karma yogi. But we are supposed to rise beyond it. Then someone may come to the point of Gyan Yoga. But if he just sticks to Gyan Yoga, then he'll be called a Gyan Yogi. But if someone goes further along, he is going to be calling a Dhyan Yogi. But the idea is not to still stay to Dhyan Yogi. No, one has to come. If one is fortunate enough to come to the point of Bhakti Yoga, it is to be understood that he has surpassed all other yogas. So becoming a bhakta means he has surpassed. He's already finished Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyan Yoga, like that. Therefore, to become Krishna conscious is the highest stage of yoga, just as when we speak of Himalayan, we refer to the world's highest mountains, of which the highest peak, Mount Everest, is considered to be the culmination. So, of all the yogas, Bhakti Yoga is the highest. Krishna himself is also saying in this verse, coming to the point of Bhakti Yoga. So we'll continue with this purport tomorrow. It's a bit long. Did anyone want to add anything or any questions? If no, then we'll stop here for today. Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhakta-vrinda ki jai, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for listening and joining in.